Hi everyone, it's Olivia from Girlybunches here, and I'm going to show you how to make this crochet flower today. It's one of my favourite flowers to make. It's really simple, and the pattern I'm going to show you, you can make it as big or as small as you like. Really useful, versatile rose. I've used this on bags, tea cozies, cushions. It's really useful pattern to know. This was made in double knit cotton. And here is a cotton again, but much finer. I don't know the weight of it, but you can see it's really pretty and delicate. And I've put a bead in the middle of that one. Let it focus. I've also put a bead in the middle of that one, but you don't have to. It's just a finishing touch. You could put a button, anything you liked. Okay, so let me show you what you're going to need. You're going to need scissors, your crochet hook for your yarn, so you know, whatever you choose to make it in, you need the right crochet hook, and you'll need a needle, a darning needle to sew it up with at the end. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so to start your rose, you will need to make a chain of stitches, and you can make your rose as big as you like or as small as you like, but the base chain must have a number that is divisible by 3 plus 5. So I'm going to chain 35 here now, and that's 30 divisible by 3 plus 5 extras. Okay, so as we normally start off with, but instead of being economical we need a nice long tail, so that's probably about 30 centimeters there at least, and we need that long tail because that's what we're going to use to sew up the rose at the end when we're finished. So make sure you have a nice long tail to start off with. Normally we don't want a big long tail because we're trying to save our yarn, but we need that this time. Alright, so I'm going to chain 35 now. Okay, so that should be 35, hopefully. It's been a long week, so I might have miscounted. So there you go, just your normal chain that you would do to start off a project. So the reason we did a plus 5 is because we're going to make lots of V stitches across this first row. So the first 5 chains will become part of the first V stitch. So we need to do a treble into the 5th stitch from the hook. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we do our treble into that 5th chain from the hook, and then what that gives us is 1, 2, 3, 4 and a treble. So those 3 become a replacement for a treble and 1 stitch in between them. Then we're going to do 2 trebles with a chain in between into the 2nd chain along. So that's the 5th one that we've just worked in. We're going to skip this one here, and we're going to do a treble, a chain and a treble into that one there. So there's a treble, a chain and a treble into the same space that we did the first treble. Okay, so then we're going to repeat that all the way along. So not going to work into that one there, we're going to skip one and we're going to work into that chain there, and we're going to do exactly the same again. We're going to do a treble, a chain and a treble into the same space. And you should be able to see how that first one is to mimic these V shapes that we're going to make all the way along. Okay, so again we're going to skip that stitch there and we're going to work into that stitch there. Exactly the same, a treble, a chain and a treble. Now if you've got really chunky yarn or really thin yarn, sometimes it's quite difficult to tell that which how many you've missed. So do take your time with it, and you'll get used to it when you make a few, because I tell you what, these are addictive. You'll make loads of them once you've made one. They are great to make. So I'm just going to do that one more time and then I shall just speed up to the end. So we're going to skip one there and we're going to work into that second one there, and it's a treble, a chain and a treble again into that same spot. So I'm just going to carry on now to the end because I think we've got the hang of it now. Okay, so we're just coming up to the last couple of stitches on the row, and I did count them properly. And we got one on the end. That's always a tricky one because that's a knot there. But just use your hook to work that stitch into that last chain. There we go. Oh, sorry about my squeaky wool. There we go. Okay, so now we've got a chain with all the V stitches in. Now if I let go of it, you can see that there is a slight turn in it, and that's good, that's fine, and that's because we're putting more stitches in than there are actual base chains, and it's fanning it out, and that's good. That's what we wanted, and that's good. So don't worry if it curls up, don't worry about that. Just make sure you're working in the right direction and don't get your yarn, your work twisted up, but you won't, it's not difficult. Okay, so now we're going to get ready to move on to the next row. Right, so the second row and the last row, so this is a really simple rows to make. We're going to do a chain 3 at the end here, like that, and then we're going to turn our work over and work back in the other direction, just like we would do with any other work where we're working in a row like this. And in the top of each of these V's we're going to do 6 trebles. So we've already done one, which is our chain 3, so we're just going to do 5 into the first one. So that's 5 trebles on this first one. 4, 5. So we've got one set of chain 3, which replaces our replaces our treble, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trebles to make 6 altogether, essentially. And between each V, there's that space there, and we're just going to slip stitch into that, just like that, and that pulls that down into a nice fan, and that's one of your petals. Okay, so then we're going to do 6 trebles into this V here, with my squeaky yarn. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in there, and then we're just going to do the slip stitch in between the two V's there, just like that. And you can see we've got 2 petals there. I'm going to do that one more time. So into the next V we're going to do 6 trebles. They run out of room, just push them over a bit and then they all fit in nicely. And again, in between the 2 V's we're just going to do a slip stitch. So there's the first 3 petals done, and I'm just going to carry on now to the end. So we're just coming up to doing the last 2 petals here with my squeaky yarn. That's so funny. And the last one. Whoops. And that's the 6th one, and then what we do is we're just going to slip stitch into that bottom bit there just to finish it off, and that is it. Again, we're going to leave a nice long tail on this end as well, gives us something to work with, and as we always do, we just pull that end through that loop, give it a nice pull, and there we go, that finishes it. Okay, so that's that, and as you can see that's really started to curl up now, and that's good because that's going to help us make the rows when we come to sew it together. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to sew the flower together, and what you want to do, you want to take the end where we first started, so not the one that's got the tail coming out of the base chain, but the one that's coming out where we first started. So thread your needle, and what we do, or what I do, which I find gives a nice centre, if you take the first petal and fold it in half so the 2 edges of the petal meet each other, so that's the very first one, like that, and I just take my needle and I sew through the bottoms of the 2, like that. Oops. Okay, I pull that through and I'll just go up again just to tighten, just to sew that off like that, and then that keeps that folded over. That just makes because this is going to be the centre, and that makes a nice centre. And then what I do is I just run the needle back down so we're back to where we started, and with the yarn at the bottom, like that. Okay, now this is the trickiest part of making the flower, and what you need to do is not roll it like this. what you need to do is just, I would fold that over, then I pinch the top of the first petal and the third one together like that, and then I turn it over, and then I start to layer it around like that. And you want it to be quite flat on the back. You don't want it to make a point, but you do need to keep your fingers together holding that in, and you can just, you know, put it around a bit tighter if you want it to. Just work it round, and honestly this is the trickiest part, but you'll see how you want your rose to look, and you just keep winding it around until you get to the end. So just scooch it about, you know, move it around. There we go. Get it so you're happy with it, and then take your tail with the needle, and you literally just try and catch all of those rows that you've rolled around each other, and just put the needle through, and let that focus so you can see what I mean, and pull it through. Don't pull it too tightly, just put it, you know, so that it stays in place, and you literally just go from the middle, she says, middle outwards to the last row, and you just keep going around gently. Don't pull it too tight, but just pull it so that it's enough to keep it in place, just like that. And you just do as many as you feel you need. Again, don't put it too tight, and it's just it is simple, but that is the trickiest part, and if you can do that bit, then you don't have any problems, do you? And you can see it's not difficult. It's just shaping it how you want it to look. Just do one more there, and I'll go up, and I'll just bring the needle up to meet that tail end that we had from the last stitch. There we go. So that what we can do is we can tie those two ends together just in a loose knot, again not too tight, and then I can feed that back through into the middle. And then I take this yarn, this long one here, and I sew that back in, I sew that through into the middle as well, just like that, and then get rid of the needle now, and then I just do a couple of fairly tight knots in the middle here to secure it off. And if you were going to sew a bead or button in, then you know, now would be the time to use one of these long tails to do that. And there you go, there is your rose made. Very simple, and like I say, you can make it as big or as small as you like, and use different yarns. I made the little one there, and yeah, I think you'll find this is a really easy little pattern to make really pretty embellishments for your clothes, for anything. I mean, you know, it's addictive. I warn you, this is really addictive. So enjoy that. I hope you have fun with it, and show me some pictures. I'd love to see how you get on with it, and yeah, any questions please just ask, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye bye.